And we're going live.
Hello and welcome. I'm Warren Call, the President and CEO of Traverse Connect. On behalf of our board of directors, thank you for tuning in today to watch the final round in the Emerging Business Award category of the 2021 Scale Up North Awards. The Scale Up North Awards recognize and celebrate the vibrant and varied companies doing business up north, their achievements, and their impact on their community and our economy. This is an important annual event for us at Traverse Connect, and I'd like to thank everyone who's participated in the awards thus far, and also to congratulate our top 3 finalists in this award category: Common Good Bakery, Earthen Ales, and Taste the Local Difference. I'd also like to thank our sponsors for making the Scale Up North Awards possible. Thank you to our presenting sponsors, Hagerty, Northwestern Michigan College, and Priority Health. Thanks also to Maine Content and Heritage Broadcasting, as well as the Record Eagle for their media sponsorship. Last but not least, thank you to our in-kind sponsors listed here. With us for this event today, we have all 10 of the Scale Up North judges. I'll list them now. We have Janice Adams of Danbrook Adams Raymond, Matt Bullock from Tentcraft, Tim Duttmers from Venturi, Andrew Gorecki from Superior Physical Therapy, Todd Key of Hagerty, Andrew Coleman from Image 360, Jen Seaman from Priority Health, Barbara Shellman from SCORE, Mark Stevens from Interactive Aerial, and Elizabeth Sonneben from NMC. Thank you to the judges for joining us today and for your incredible hard work throughout this program. I'd like to now turn things over to Jennifer Zunko, Executive Director of TC NewTek. Jennifer will be the MC for today's Emerging Awards Finals, which will take place in the form of a pitch contest. Jennifer, we're all excited to see this. Thank you for joining us, and over to you.
Thank you, Warren, and hello to everyone. I'm Jennifer Zunko, as Warren said. I'm the Executive Director of TC NewTek. We're Traverse City's monthly pitch competition, and we're attended by tech enthusiasts, business owners, entrepreneurs, and Michigan policymakers. I've been hosting our monthly pitch contest virtually since March of last year, so I'm no stranger to this format. Let me explain how things will work today. Each presenter will have 5 minutes to make a pitch about their company and explain what's special about what they do. Then the judges will have 2 minutes of Q&A with from the presenter. The 3 companies with us today are the top 3 finalists in the Emerging Business Award category. And I'd like to congratulate them for making it to the finals. Without further ado, let's get on with our pitches. Our first presenter today is Jason Golin, President and owner of Common Good Bakery. Before I introduce Jason, let's see a short video to learn more about Common Good Bakery.
We happen to make really good pastries and bread. Everything that we make here is from scratch. We work really hard at thrilling our customers. We closed our store right away more than a year ago and have just gone to curbside service. When we opened the business 4 years ago, we had online ordering as a part of our point of sale system. Nobody used it, so actually we turned it off. Now more than half our business is pre-ordered online. Some of our best bakers were never bakers before working here. Everybody here earns a living wage and has a full benefit plan. Everybody here loves working here. We work together as a team. Everybody cross-trains. We pay above the high end of the market in terms of our cash compensation, and then we have a fringe benefit plan that's very generous. We're kind of in the nostalgia business, trying to connect people with those traditional products. We all have an emotional connection to a baked good. It's usually with an older relative that we maybe learned how to make something, or that it was just a tradition in our family. We're a retail food service business that's based right here in downtown Traverse City, and we focus on trying to make goodness more common.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jason. I'd like to now invite you to share your screen and your slides. Just a reminder, you have 5 minutes to give your pitch and then 10 minutes to take questions from our judges. So over to you, Jason.
Thank you. Okay, set. Look good to everyone? Okay, good. Well, thanks for your time today, everybody. My name is Jason Golin. I'm the president of Common Good Hospitality. We operate Common Good Bakery here on 14th Street in Traverse City, and we're really excited to be a part of this competition. It wasn't initially something that I was aware of. Actually, our marketing team brought it to me, and it's been really fun to see everybody engage in the process and get us to this point. What we really focus on as a business is participating in what's called the experience economy. So really moving beyond what we do, which of course is important. People are presuming today that your product's going to be excellent, but why you do it tends to be more important. So that's a big focus for us, really connecting that why and having a higher purpose for everything that we do. Our purpose really as a business is to better the lives of everybody that we encounter. So we believe that optimism and purposeful action should be part of everything that we do.
I got to interrupt you for just a second, Jason. Were you going to share your slides?
I thought that I had. I'm sorry. Was there something that I needed to do to initiate that?
Yeah, on the green button that says share screen.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We won't count this against you.
No, feel free. Look, I have to do some permissions.
I hope we didn't lose anyone going over to the bakery because it's getting so close to lunch and everything looks so good there.
Yeah. Okay, can you see my screen now?
I can, but you have to, close the security and privacy window.
Okay,
There we go. And I think this is looking good. All right.
We'll go back to the beginning quickly. Looks like I've now lost 1.5 minutes. That's exciting. And so this is really the part of our business that is most important, is that focusing on that higher purpose and really connecting both the people that work here and our customers with what we're doing beyond the product. The product has to be world class. We just assume that. But what we really focus on is being a positive influence in the community and making sure that we're going above and beyond as an employer. The most important part of that is our people. And so we are up to about 20 employees in our payroll system. About 12 of those are full-time. All but 3 of those are women for whatever reason. And you can see from these pictures that we're supporting a lot of families. So a big part of what we do is offer people balance, and we focus on finding professionals, whether they're connected to a background in food or not. We want people who are passionate about who we are and what we're about and have an interest in cooking or baking. And so you'll be surprised at the training that people have. We have former architects on the team. We have people with graduate degrees on the team. We have people who have lived in large financial centers and done all kinds of interesting work in big business, but have decided to work with this business and be a part of what we're trying to do. One of the ways that we do that is that we're always looking for people. So when somebody inquires, are you hiring? We always say, yes, we're looking for good people, and we run them through the process. And that's led to some really great team members and is a big part of what we do in our success. In terms of our impact in the community, I think that's something that we're relatively well known for. It's really built into our business model. As a retail food service business, we have decided that giving back is going to be a part of every day. And so we do a lot of that in terms of giving directly to the community, sponsoring organizations that we believe in, having partnerships, and then on the environmental side, focusing on energy efficiency and things like that. To get to the numbers towards the end here, we were founded in 2017, and as you can see, we've been successful in growing about 30% a year. We intend to continue to do that. And as we head into the future, our plan would be to open new stores and create new retail food service concepts beyond Common Good Bakery. And that, according to my timer, is 5 minutes.
Thank you for keeping us on track. That was great. And now we're going to hear from our judges. So you can stop sharing your screen, Jason, and our judges will come on to ask some questions.
Hey, Jason, this is Tim Duttmers. It's great to see you again.
How's it going, Tim?
Good, good. Hey, you know what? I'm just going to let you segue real quickly from that very last portion of the slide. You've had great growth over the last few years, and you've got continued aggressive growth plans moving forward. Can you speak a little bit to what's going to allow you to achieve that 30+% growth curve on an annual basis?
Yeah, I mean, so the most important thing is our recruitment and retention strategy. So you can't do it without good people. And so we tend to screen for people who are capable of that. And then in terms of like their personality and their ability to execute in a hectic environment, but then also making sure that our systems are rock solid and that everybody has a playbook and knows what their day-to-day job is, as well as can connect that with the bigger picture. So systems and people, that's the short answer.
Great, thank you.
Jason, you mentioned, your 10-year plan to us, it's a great goal, quite ambitious. You've been very successful along the way. So again, that's why you're here, commendable. You also touched on some of your growth opportunities and plans for expansion. Could you touch more on those here?
Sure. We're working on 2 new concepts right now. So Common Good Bakery is the first concept that we have. And we are looking to find a location for a second store of Common Good Bakery on the east side of Traverse City. But we're also working on a coffee shop concept and then a pizza and pasta concept. So everything that we're planning to do would be in retail food service. But the plan would be a second Common Good Bakery store. If we can figure out this coffee concept, that would be able to go into any office building. And then we're working on incubating a pizza concept here every day, and then we will add to that menu once we can find it a home. And then I think beyond that, our incremental growth, we're about to start having wholesale resale bread in the other Oriana store, and then we're always looking for other to bake for other restaurants. We do a fair amount of that. It's not really a focus, but we will continue to pick up business there. And we're trying for catering. So that's kind of an outlier that we haven't organized yet, but things come at us. And we've got the team now to be able to execute on that. So those are kind of more minor. The real bulk will be focusing on additional retail outlets for a similar quality product.
Jason, this is
go ahead,
Barbara Shellman. Speaking back to your community involvement, tell us a little bit about I mean, there was an impressive slide of all the places that you're helping out. Can you tell me a little bit and us about how you pick those, what you choose to participate in? There's so much need in our community. How do you guys go through the process of deciding which organizations you want to pair up with?
Sure. Yeah. So it's a mix. I'd say it's about a third something that we choose, and about 2/3 our customers identify something that they want us to connect with. So on our side, our target customer are millennial parents. So I want to find a family with young kids and have them be a lifetime customer. And so we focus on organizations that have that audience, like Norte. So if any of you guys have been to a Norte event, that's my customer. And, so that means we also sponsor the TART trails, because those are people riding around on their bikes. And then on the other side of it, the discount programs we have with employers, those have been a combination of somebody that's a regular customer connecting us with HR, or a spouse of an employee connecting us with HR. And then on the donation, pure like cash support, every year on our anniversary of opening the store here on 14th Street, we have the customers vote for their favorite charity or nonprofit, literally with tally marks on a piece of paper, which is great because then everybody's involved on having a very busy day, and then we give away half the revenue from that day to whoever the winner is. And in the past, it's been more than one, so we had some ties before, and then we just divided up equally.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Jason, this is Janice. Just wanted to, first of all, the presentation was wonderful, and thank you for that additional information. In terms of you, I think all of us have felt that you have a very clear direction, focus, and sense of where your company is, where it's going. And I wonder, is that something that you've had from the beginning? Has that been very intentional in terms of how you have grown your company, what you've done with respect to your employees, things of that nature? And just kind of as a follow-up to that, what's something that has happened that may have, directed you in a different way? One of the questions, we have is your favorite failure. And I don't look at that as a negative question. I look at that as a really positive one, because that can really, make you stronger. And so if you could talk about both of those, that would be great.
Yeah, not a problem. So I, in my past lives, have really worked on the strategy end of businesses. So I have probably read everything that Michael Porter has written, and then all of the references of all the papers that have referenced him. It's a huge body of work. So yes, this whole project was very intentional, trying to figure out what not to do, and therefore what to do, because you've been through that process. And it took a long time. So I had a different name in mind for the business, but could not secure a trademark on it because somebody else already had the name. So, that it took a long time to piece it all together to understand what we wanted to do based on what we knew would work in the market. There have been things that have changed, of course, in 4 years. I'd say the most interesting one was I didn't intend to do any wholesale to other restaurants. But about a year in, we got a call from Bubba's. And if any of you have been there, you know that they do a really good job of packing that place to the tune of about 90,000 burgers a year. And so that got my ears, that made me stand up and pay attention for that volume. And so it was something that we had to find another piece of equipment for, and kind of, took some time to tool up. And we kept up with it for a couple of years and really enjoyed it to an extent. But what we learned was it wasn't really who we were, going for volume and having to figure out the logistics that involved, and having to find the space for all of the equipment that involved. wasn't really something that was making sense. And so it is still a part of our business, about 10% of our business, but we're really choosy with who we work with, and we make sure that it'll fit in with the other things that we're doing. So it was hard to let go of that revenue opportunity, but we've been able to more than make up for it.
That's great. Thank you.
Hey, Jason, a lot of businesses, including mine, are dealing with supply chain disruptions and difficulty finding staff. Are you encountering any challenges currently, and how are you thinking about these current challenges?
Yeah, so yes, of course, everyone knows that anyone who's paying attention knows that we're dealing with an inflationary environment, and there's some debate about how long that'll last. But we are seeing, we've already seen about a 20% increase across the board for our ingredients, and purveyors are now telling us to prepare for another 10%. And that's from, large, very large billion-dollar companies. Some of our smaller purveyors are telling us we might have to absorb more than that in terms of the price increase. So we've had to raise our prices twice so far this year. It has not led to any customer defections. Some people have been upset, but we've been able to explain it so far. On the people side, again, in my presentation, I'm really serious. We're always hiring. So I designed the brand to attract a certain type of person. And so when that person shows up, we say yes, we hand them an application. It's a 5-page application. There's a grammar test on the application and math. That weeds out about 85 to 90% of the people. And then we have them go through an interview process with about 4 people. And if they get through that, then they have to actually come and do a tryout and work a shift so we can see how they move and throw them some curveballs and see how they handle that. And so most of those people drop off, but when we find somebody that makes it through all of that, then we usually can find work for them, because when you're growing at 30% a year, everybody is doing more than one job. And so as a management team, we have to coach people through that and, say, look, as soon as we find the right person, you're going to have some help. And then that person shows up, and boom, there we go. They peel off part of that job, and that allows us to grow. So a big part of it is coaching the team through it. And then as owners, I have 2 partners, and so the 3 of us, will shoulder more than probably we should, to have balance in our lives as we're growing, and then, just see that taper off over time is acceptable.
Okay, Jason, it sounds like one final question. This will be quick. Someone's never been to your bakery before, and they walk in and they can have anything. They don't have any allergies. What would you recommend that they get?
Well, my go-to is the chocolate croissant. So whenever I travel around, I always go and get the petit pain au chocolat. That's my thing. So if they don't want chocolate, then we'll go with the pear almond Danish, which is very nice and has a half a pear on it. So that's, practically healthy.
Thank you.
That was a good question, Jen, and great response, Jason. That sounds really good. So thank you to all the judges, and thank you to Jason. We're going to wrap this up so we can keep on schedule.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Next up, we have Andrew Kidwell Bricks. He's the owner and brewer at Earthen Ales. So let's see a video from Earthen Ales first.
Earthen Ales is located at the historic village at Grand Traverse Commons. We love being part of bringing this historic place back to life.
My husband and I do all the brewing and have been open a little over 4 years.
We have a shared past work experience. We were both urban planners who worked in sustainability and renewable energy, and so we've tried to carry that forward into how we run our brewery.
Yeah, that's responsible resource use, feeding our spent grain to pigs in the community, all of those little ways that we can kind of connect with the environment through our process are really important to us. I think one of the things that sets us apart is that we like to explore different beer styles, and I think the brewing tradition is about exploration and discovery, and we love sharing that with our customers.
We have an advantage that we have different, just slightly different palates, but we agree on the big things. We make better decisions together and better beers together.
One of the great things that we kind of fell into with the pandemic a little bit was starting to can more. Our community supported ales program is a subscription program that we do roughly once a month. We've also started canning a regular supply of beers. So if you just want to stop in, pick up a 4-pack, get a growler, try out a single in a can, we can do that for you too.
Okay, that's great. Welcome, Andrew, and thanks for joining us. I want to remind you, you have 5 minutes to give your pitch and then 10 minutes to take questions from the judges. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Andrew, to start your pitch.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here presenting alongside Jason and Trisha. So yes, my name is Andrew Kidwell-Bricks. As you saw, my wife Jamie and I are the owners and brewers here at Earthen Ales at the historic village at Grand Traverse Commons. And we brew beer with what we call a sense of place. What does that mean? That means we brew beer that tells stories about where we live here in northern Michigan. And in particular, we do a Juniper Rye IPA that kind of draws on some northern traditions and ingredients. So we set out in 2016 to create a community gathering place here, something that was really fueled by our love of telling stories through beer. The beer doesn't have to be the center of attention, but it should be deserving of the attention if you want to give it to it. Along the way, we've learned a lot about brewing beer, about how to give great service here in the tap room, how to take good care of our employees. And I feel like somewhere along the way, we became business owners. And in the last year, we spent a lot of time, as a lot of folks have, thinking about the future and kind of being forced to rethink how we do things and what we want to do things. And we realized immediately how much we missed the community that had grown up around our tap room here. And that we really wanted to make that the cornerstone of how we move forward as we kind of emerge from the pandemic here. So what does that look like? Well, the core of what we do is always going to be the tap room where I'm sitting right now, where we can connect directly with beer lovers and folks from the community who maybe just want to go out and catch up with friends and family. And traditionally, as a brewery, what you do is you distribute, you get your beer on tap in bars and restaurants, you put bottles and cans on store shelves, and we have started to move into that a little bit. Expanded what the territory we distribute into over the last year, and we're in the process of getting ready to distribute canned beer later this year. And all of that is great. It helps create more kind of brand awareness around Earthen Ales. It gives folks who have enjoyed beer here in the tap room an opportunity to grab that closer to home, some way that's more convenient to them. And it also maybe creates an entry point where someone sees us on the shelf or on tap somewhere and makes a decision to come visit us here at the Historic Asylum. But what we're most excited about is developing deeper roots and growing deeper locally here in the community. So, doing more house beers for local bars and restaurants, continuing to incorporate more local ingredients into the beers that we do, and offering more experiences. So tasting events, pairings, beer dinners, things like that here in the tap room, so that we're not just selling more beer and brewing more beer, but we're creating deeper connections with the folks who are enjoying it. And they're understanding more of what goes into the beer and the decisions that are made to, make one beer versus another. And as we mentioned in the video, offering some of that beer in a subscription model has been really wonderful over the last year. It gives us a chance to try new things and kind of tell those stories in a different way, even when folks can't visit us here in the tap room. And specifically, sort of launching some new brands that or relaunching in this case, something we call Local Shade, a pale ale based on local ingredients, where a portion of proceeds will fund a scholarship for women in Michigan's brewing industry to learn more about Northern Michigan malt and hops. All of this is a much more kind of labor intensive way to grow a business. You know, you could brew a lot of beer with not a lot of people if you're just selling it to distribution. But we think it's important to invest in people. That's an investment in the community. Those are folks that live and work here. That's money that stays in the Northern Michigan economy. It's supported by the benefits that we offer to those employees, the educational opportunities, and it creates a sense of place here in the tap room. It's not the Earthen Ales tap room if you don't see familiar faces when you walk in. It doesn't have that same sense of community without that. This is a team effort, and it takes all of us to do this together. And when you put all of that together, the local ingredients, the beer that has a history and a story behind it, that is Earthen Ales, that is beer with a sense of place. So thank you, and I will turn it over to the judges for questions.
Thank you, Andrew. Great job. And yeah, now if our panel of judges is ready, we will take your questions.
Hey, Andrew, this is Todd. I have a quick question for you. So you talked about your various offerings from canned beer to distributing to other local businesses and other experiences. Over the next 5 years, how do you see your percentage of growth coming from those different areas?
Yeah, so just backtracking a little bit, we've been able to do 20 to 30% growth the last couple of years, 2020 accepted from that, because so much of our business is on premise here. I think we can do another 30% just in the tap room here, whether that's from events. We are actually in the process of adding some additional outdoor seating that was temporary last year, and we're working to make that a permanent addition to our space here so we can accommodate more folks. Hosting more events here, but in a sort of casual way, something that still allows someone to drop in and grab a quick beer at the bar. We don't ever want to lose that ability to just stop in and grab a beer with a friend. But I think there's room for us to do a tremendous amount more in terms of distributed beer. We've really just scratched the surface in that. So, right now that's maybe 5% of our revenue, even less in the last year. So we can do, 5-10 times the volume there that we've done so far. I think from, the facility that we have here, and not even, getting into expanding into additional production. So there's a lot of opportunity there as things start to open back up again.
Andrew, what's the biggest element that's holding you back from that opportunity?
Well, because most of our distributed beer to date has been draft, that requires, for the most part, bars and restaurants to be open for on-premise consumption. We can sell beer to go as a brewery, but not every bar or restaurant has the licenses to sell growlers of beer, even if they would want to. So, that's pretty much dried up for us. We will need to add some more, some more sort of sales help out in the field. So we have a great distributor that we work with a local office here in Traverse City. But we're going to need to get out and spend more time out in the field to support that going forward. And then the bigger thing on the can front was simply having the equipment to do the volume of cans that we need for that. So we've been able to get by on kind of a starter system to do what we need to do out of the tap room. And that's allowed us to sell far more cans in the last year than I ever thought possible. But we have new equipment arriving at the end of July that will let us get that volume up. And after Labor Day, we'll start trying to get cans out on the new system.
Andrew, this is Barbara. I really appreciate your comment earlier where you said somewhere along the way we became business owners. So my question to you is pre-COVID, so let's not talk about COVID, but pre-COVID, what was one of the biggest challenges that you and your wife had in becoming business owners?
Oh, all of it. I mean, we came into it, knowing how to make beer. We had professional brewing experience. We'd managed employees and budgets in previous jobs. We'd, kind of managed budget centers and all of this. But putting all of the pieces together, running it on a day-to-day basis, it took us probably most of the first 2 years just to kind of get a handle on what we were doing kind of day to day. Year 3 is when we first said yes to doing sort of distribution, and starting to think about more than just if we brew it, they will come, and putting more effort into, running some events and things like that to make it a little more of a draw to bring people to us, because we realize that we are tucked away a little bit over here at the Commons, and sometimes we need a little bit of a hook to get people to the other side of division.
Andrew, this is Tim Duttmers. It's good to see you again. In your opinion, is the community, is the market or the region saturated when it comes to microbreweries?
I don't think so. I think there's still room to continue to sort of differentiate and find more diversity. And it's going to depend on what a particular business wants to get out of it. There may not be another Shorts coming to Northern Michigan. There may not be room for that, but in wanting to be kind of a community gathering place, a place that supports, our neighbors here at the village, the west side of Traverse City, employees from Munson who are right next door. I think there's room for these niches still.
Hey, Andrew, it's Janice. Thanks so much for your presentation thus far. And I was intrigued by when you said one of the things that you're really focused on going forward, you and your wife, is developing deeper roots in the community. And you talked about house beers, local ingredients, beer dinners. And I'm just wondering, first of all, when can we expect to see any of that? Because they all sound like really cool ideas. And just wondering what your plan is for that going forward and how you're going to implement that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So, I mean, we do one house beer currently. If you've been to Mama Lou's on Front Street and had the Lou Dog 3000, that is a beer that we brew almost exclusively for them. We usually put a little bit on tap here for Cinco de Mayo here in the tap room. But we really enjoy that creative process of, sitting down and getting outside of what we feel like is the a good tap list to offer in our space here, and go, okay, well, what works with their food, with what they're trying to do, and it is that creative process that got us into this in the first place. In terms of beer dinners, just ahead of the pandemic, we started to have more conversations with some local chefs about doing things in their spaces. And this is when we were just starting to do a few cans here in the tap room. And the can is a vehicle to really be able to do the sort of smaller volumes for a beer dinner at a off-site account, because they don't need a keg of everything just to do one dinner. And to be fair, we are, like other folks perhaps, looking at maybe another spot where we can do something with a little more of a food focus to it. We kept our tap room here at the brewery very simple. We don't have a kitchen. We wanted to focus on the beer, but the more we talk about these things, the more interested we are in perhaps a concept that does bring some focused food and lets us explore the beer styles that work with that in a little more depth.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Andrew, can you tell me about your team? It sounds like you have a great opportunity for growth, and you talked about expanding distribution. And as the organization grows, you and your wife won't be able to do it all yourself. So
yeah, we tried that.
Yeah.
We tried doing it all ourselves to start, and it gave us a great kind of foundation and the ability to kind of teach every aspect of what we do because we'd done it. But yeah, it's going to be time to hand off some of the production work. The new canner is going to make that a lot easier. We've spent the last year kind of letting our taproom manager take more and more of the lead on that side of the business as we kind of restart coming out of the pandemic, so that we can hand more of that side of the operation off. And I'm actually secretly hoping that I get to be the one who goes out and does more of the sales work. It's something that I enjoy, and it's nice to get out of my usual orbit and get around a little bit more.
That's great. If we have one real quick question, we could take it, but otherwise we need to wrap it up. Thank you, judges.
Well, I'll just jump in really quick. So following up on Jen's question from the last one, if somebody's going to walk into your brewery and has never been there, what would you pour?
So I think I mentioned it at the start of my talk, but our Juniper IPA, it is inspired by traditional Scandinavian beers that have been brewed for centuries. It takes those traditional ingredients of juniper and rye, which do well and are associated with northern climates like ours, and it reimagines it as what we call a Northern Michigan IPA. So it's balanced, it's drinkable, it's not like chewing on a pine cone. It just has this really nice, refreshing kind of piney quality to it, and it's probably the beer. It's one of the first beers that my wife and I ever brewed together, 10 plus years ago now. And it's probably the recipe that's changed the least in all of that time.
That's great. Thank you, Barbara, for your question, and all the judges. Appreciate your time. And thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
We're going to move along to our final presenter today. And I'd like to welcome Trisha Phelps.
Hi there.
Okay, there we go. There's that timer. Trisha is a Chief Executive Officer of Taste the Local Difference. And first, we're going to play her video real quick.
Taste the Local Difference is Michigan's marketing and media company for local food. We help consumers find and use and enjoy and connect with local food in their communities and throughout the state of Michigan too. The staff is actually made up of farmers and restaurateur chefs and specialty producers, brewers, etc. We support the marketing efforts of local food entrepreneurs on their own channels as well, their own social media, their own email newsletters. We've built this model that is self-sustaining. The long-term vision has always been to license that to other communities throughout the country. As of 2020, we've got a license in Montana using the Taste the Local Difference methods and business plan and model. We work with farms like Lakeview Hill to help promote what products they have available, help connect consumers to those things. If they're searching for organic kale or they're searching for greenhouse tomatoes, they can find it on localdifference.org.
That's great. And we're so happy to have you here. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to invite you now to start your presentation and remind you that you have 5 minutes for your pitch and 10 minutes for Q&A from the judges. So over to you, Trisha.
Thank you, Jennifer. As you said, my name is Trisha Phelps, and I am the former intern turned CEO at Taste the Local Difference. I want to start out by sharing about the fact that food and beverage companies spend almost $14 billion a year on advertising in the United States. And more than 80% of that is typically spent promoting fast food, sugary drinks, and candy. So in order to compete and provide an alternative, local food and beverage businesses need to band together to communicate about the value of local. And Taste the Local Difference is a local food marketing agency and media company that specializes in educating consumers about the value of local food. Our staff is deeply entrenched in the local food system, and the one thing that we hear most frequently is that business owners are juggling a million hats every day.
They have to be the HR manager, the prep cook, the marketer, the sales, the accountant, all of that and more. And as paying TLD partners, businesses are collectively contributing to the consumer education efforts, or that tide that lifts all boats. And then depending on their needs or their budget, they can purchase customized marketing services for promoting their own businesses on TLD's media channels. They can also, as I said in the video, contract us for marketing strategy and development to improve their own websites and newsletters, and social, business connections, and more. So I want to start out by putting you in a situation. Let's say you're the local farmer. You sell fruits and vegetables through a CSA, and you are so busy between planning and harvesting and managing employees and accounts. And every day you have to not only sell your product, but sell the value of local on top of that. It's a really big job. So you sign up as a partner with Taste the Local Difference. And by doing so, your business is included in our local food guide, both online and print. And on top of that, all the money you spent, those partnership fees that we receive, they support our efforts in creating media to educate both consumers and industry buyers about the value of local. So that's amplifying your existing efforts. It's cutting down the workload that you have to do every time you walk into a new place, and it decreases that barrier to entry as you're moving into new markets. So then also, because you're busy, you contracted TLD to build you an online store. And we carry the heavy load up front to get the project off the ground, but we also train you on how to manage it into the future. And if you need us to write a few email newsletters for you, we can do that too, or help strategize your social media game, we got that. Our team serves over 2,500 partners across the state of Michigan, and that number is growing, as is our average revenue earned per partner too. And that increased in the last year over 60% even during the pandemic. We've got a 86% partner retention rate, and with more local food businesses opening their doors every day, we expect that growth to continue. In addition, we're engaging with other organizations outside the state of Michigan that have similar advocacy and education work like we do, except for they don't know how to sustain it. In 2020, we successfully confirmed our first license of the TLD business model. And as I mentioned in the video, this is a business doing this work in Montana. And just last week, they helped us support us in a pitch to another state wanting to replicate this model out east. We've grown from a team of 1 full-time and 7 part-time in 2018 to 7 part-time and 7 full-time, and 6 part-time in 2021. We work strategically with like-minded organizations to help make that leap and invest in people. And like most of the organizations today, people come first for us. It's building authentic relationships is really key to our founding principles and our employee culture as a whole. And we've invested energy in developing collaborations with organizations like the SBDC to find funding for local food businesses so that we can offer them these marketing services that they need at this time at no cost in this unprecedented circumstance. We're also opening up to learn more about equity in our food system and in our world, and we're developing plans with clear action steps about how we're gonna do something about it. Our team is really passionate about the why we get up every morning to do what we do, and that really is people and community and the trust that is built when you know exactly who and where your food comes from.
That's great. Thank you, Trisha. Thanks for keeping us on time too. Did a nice presentation. So let's hear from our judges. Their questions for you.
Hi, Trisha.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You're fine. Thank you.
Hi, this is Barbara. Sorry.
Hi,
Trisha, obviously, kind of the essence of your business is to help local people or local community, but outside of just in the essence of your business model, what do you do, if anything, to give back to our community directly?
I would say that there's a lot we're doing every day with the local food businesses themselves. We certainly, as I've explained, have services that come at fees, partnerships that come at fees, but we do offer those services at no charge when there are circumstances that apply for that. Say there's scholarship dollars that we have for BIPOC owned businesses that we just instituted in this last year. There's efforts we make to feature stories that we think are really important for the community to know that we don't charge for, things of that nature. So I would say it involves still the marketing and media that we do, but it's featuring businesses and stories that we really want to uplift, even if those dollars aren't there to spend on them.
So Trisha, will you talk to us a little bit about your business and the model pre and post COVID? I think there was a lot of kind of shifting to, I think, support the local group at that time. It'd be good to hear more about that.
Yeah, sure. So the plan was always to make Taste Local Difference into a more sort of full scale marketing agency. We'd been developing prior to COVID that media company sort of arm, and starting to get into doing the custom services for businesses. But those are what amplified during COVID. We had folks coming to us, farmers market managers, farmers themselves, needing to find a market for their products because things were already planned, purchased, and in the ground by the time everything really got started with COVID. And they needed to find a place to sell it because all of their markets were either closed or likely not going to be open. And so we moved really quickly into developing e-commerce sites for those types of businesses. And that just naturally sort of dove into the other digital marketing services that we could offer to folks.
Hey, Trisha, it's Janice. I'm interested in terms of, it seems like you've really come a long ways through the pandemic year and made adjusted and all that. And wondering going forward, say maybe over the next 3 years or so, where you see this kind of landing in terms of, and I really liked your presentation, how you told us, on a typical day, or what you do, or the things that you can do for individuals, businesses, farmers. So you've got your partners, your 2,500 partners. You have the social media aspect, and then you also work with, I guess there's some other ways too in terms of the selling to Montana. Where do you see those three aspects of the business model going forward? If you could just talk to that a little bit.
Sure. So the partnerships in general, that's kind of our entry point for Taste the Local Difference. So in order to have access to any of the other services that we offer, you have to be a partner. And those are really affordable. They're from $50 to $250 a year, depending on the type of business it is, if it's a farm or a restaurant, for example. And yeah, that's the quick entry point. And right now we've got those 2,500 partners, but there are so many more of these local food entrepreneurs in the state. And a lot of people up north in Traverse City specifically know about Taste the Local Difference and have seen it from its foundation in the nonprofit sector originally. But we're continuing to build brand awareness and yeah, just the local food businesses are starting to see us in other parts of the state too. We've got a lot of traction in Southeast Michigan and a lot of traction in the UP. But West Michigan was just built up in 2020. And so there's a lot of opportunity to grow the number of partnerships and the dollars associated with those partners, kind of that new business lead for us. And then, as I mentioned in the presentation, the sort of average revenue earned per partner is also an opportunity for us to grow. That's grown year over year significantly. And as I said, 60% in 2020, the average dollars that a single partner sort of earns for us. So the more that we're able to serve them with those custom marketing services, the more we can help them with their email or social or whatever they need, that number starts to go up. And if we can increase that average year over year, that's our goal. And then the licensing side of things, I was told early on that the first licensee would be the biggest difficulty and biggest learning lesson, and that's absolutely true. And so just having that licensee has helped us craft the value and understand the bounds of what the value of that license really is. And it's so much more than we actually thought it was. There's so much more that we can offer them, so much more value there. And I think that now we're able to help communicate that to other states that are looking for that type of service. And they're lining up for it too, because we have a identified licensee that it's working for. And the last piece of that is sort of, as I'm learning about the licensing, is sort of coming of that, is that those marketing services that we offer to our partners now, that kind of custom realm of services that really grew during COVID, that's of need all over the country. And so it's something that we can, as our licensees are starting to build up their those basic services that we started out with, build up their media, build up the sort of education and partnerships that they currently have, we can step in and help them fulfill that type of custom marketing service for their partners.
Thank you so much.
Trisha, you mentioned, you started as an intern and worked your way up to CEO, and I think it's only fitting that we're approaching intern season. What advice would you give to somebody, and what have you learned along the way? I guess it's kind of might be the same thing, that just it wants to follow in your footsteps. What have you learned?
I've learned that activities like this or media and things, I wasn't originally very comfortable in front of a camera or speaking in front of people, but stuff like that you're uncomfortable with, practice really does, maybe not make perfect, but makes it easier. So I would definitely recommend putting yourself in the position to have to make presentations, to have to speak on behalf of your organization as much as you can, because that really just makes you better for it. And then I would say follow what interests you and try new things. One of the, I don't have a business degree. So the way that we've built these revenue streams and this model has been me throwing spaghetti against the wall and seeing what sticks and asking people what they need and trying to find a way to provide that service for them. So I think it's that listening and trying new things, not being afraid to kind of fail and try again.
Thanks.
Good presentation. Can you talk a little bit about who you see your management group is and really what keeps you guys awake at night? Where do you feel your challenges, your weaknesses are, I guess?
Yeah, so I've got a strong leadership team that's made up of a director of community partners who really builds those relationships across the state with like-minded organizations, and kind of helps us become well-known, authentic partners across the state. I've got a communications manager that manages the communications team, all of the TLD media that gets put around the area, and then also a sort of technical assistance lead as well that manages that technical marketing assistance team. And I think what probably keeps us up at night right now is the level of growth and how fast it's happening, and trying to keep up with that while doing it strategically. I think that's a exciting problem to have, and also something that you want to be really intentional about
as we're growing. And I guess the other thing, and it's kind of evident in the presentation, is just that we really, local is not something you can fake. It's not something you can try to do from somewhere else. And so it's really important to us to have authentic relationships and connections and in-person connections. And so that's been really difficult in the last year, not being able to build that trust as easily with new people who don't know about us yet.
Great. Well, thank you, Trisha. Nice presentation. And thank you again to the judges for all your noteworthy questions. And that's a wrap for today. I want to thank all the presenters for giving their pitches. It's never easy to get out and do this. And thank you to the audience watching from YouTube. And I want to encourage everyone to tune in tomorrow for the Haggerty Scaling Business Award Finals. That'll be live on Traverse Connect's YouTube page at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And finally, don't forget to tune in on Friday to hear the live announcement of the winners. That's all for me. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
Wow, thanks.
Thank you.